for your attendance at this luncheon that the IAS is sponsoring. I'd like to commend the organizers of the Institute and their benefactors and those who helped support this organization for the high ideals that this organization has developed for itself and for having the wherewithal and taking the initiative of bringing us together as a forum in which we can discuss interesting issues. I was fortunate enough to attend Dr. Lazarus' keynote address at the beginning of the month, and he did a marvelous job of explaining to us the role of innovation in moving higher education forward, but beyond that, moving forward our general economy and the well-being of our region. I hope that I can give you some equally helpful insights today. But first, I thought I might tell you a short anecdote about the fact that I have a particular degree of motivation today to address you, because 2 weeks ago I was able to go to Washington, D.C. and attend two of the meetings that Pope Benedict XVI had with people from around the country, and a special meeting with those engaged in Catholic higher education, well, actually Catholic education at all levels. He invited the superintendents of Catholic school systems, K to 12, from around the country, and the presidents of all the Catholic colleges and universities in the country to attend. He gave a very fine address. It's readily available on the internet in many places, and so you might want to look at that. But he spoke in German. He did not speak in German, actually, thankfully. He spoke in English for 40 minutes, nonstop, faster than I'm speaking to you right now. And they turned the lights down in the room for the TV cameras, and so it was very hard to take notes. And so I had to listen doubly hard to what he was saying, and I'm glad that was true, because I came away from that thinking somewhat differently about the Holy Father than I had before I went to it. I had known from his resume and from hearing his general reputation that he was an academician. He spent 8 years as a college professor. So I expected to hear an academic speech, and I did. It was an academic speech that was syllogism after syllogism after syllogism, and you needed to be prepared for that. I was prepared to hear it. It was very difficult to write the syllogisms because there was no light. But beyond that, the Holy Father gave what to me was also a very personal speech, a very human speech, because he tied his theme of reason and faith coming together to help constitute the truth, and the effect that has on our freedom to understand and to do our work. He tied that together with the American tradition in higher education, and he spoke very genuinely about the appreciation he had for the American spirit in higher education as embodied in some of the great Catholic educators that have come out of this country. And I felt very much at that meeting that he was speaking to me, and not just to my mind, but also to my heart, as an individual like himself, interested in the well-being of his students. And that's what I've come to talk with you about today. And you may find it somewhat strange that a person with a PhD in classics who also loves archaeology is talking about something as arcane as the values proposition from modern stakeholder theory. But one takes one inspiration from wherever it comes. And I thought that talking a bit about the value proposition might help us all to understand a little bit better, not so much about how independent education is different from or differentiated from publicly supported education in America, although I will speak about that a little bit, but also what is it peculiar or specific about the values proposition in independent higher education that makes it have a certain ethos, a certain character or a certain spirit. So I think that it's fair to say that modern stakeholder theory emphasizes both the breadth of the stakeholder community, that is, those who are interested in our well-being and in our work as our constituents, and the importance of providing value with a small v and in the singular, to that community. If the business or the organization is to flourish in its sales and its attendance, if it's an athletic team or something like that, in fundraising, if it's a politician or someone who's in that particular field, or whatever else its mission and goals are. But without value, the organization has no reason to have a claim on the time, the interest, much less the material resources and other kinds of resources of individuals who might otherwise be interested in it. Value always proceeds from mission. Value always proceeds from mission. And a mission that's targeted, focused, and articulated well is what we rely on to make our value clear to those whom we wish to become our stakeholders. If there are persons that we're trying to engage in supporting us, whether that support is simply listening to a speech, as you are this afternoon at the Institute, whether it means coming to my college or university as a student, or whether it means giving some support as a donor, or if it simply means being a school board member and voting in favor of my budget this year if I happen to be the superintendent of schools. To try to show value, it's best done through a carefully focused, targeted, and articulated mission statement. But that mission statement can't be just targeted and focused and clearly articulated. It also has to be properly aligned. And that concept of alignment with resources, which can be understood both as our personnel, our material, and our financial resources, but increasingly in the information age, also intellectual resources of the organization and the needs of its constituents. So the value that's presented has to be embodied in this mission statement, which is targeted, focused, and aligned properly with the resources that the institution has to offer. Value is always a combination of what is best intended and what is possibly delivered. Okay, that's the essential relationship within the values proposition to make the whole process work for the institution or the organization that's trying to present value and the person who's consuming that value or values. So the value perception that a company or an institution offers to its customers is exactly that. It's a perception. It's a perception. A declarative statement. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. It's a proposition. One hopes it's also the perception of your customers, but my eye skipped there. It's a proposition, a declarative statement of the kind and degree of involvement of the social capital of the consumer, the client, the customer, and the culture. What do I mean by social capital? Most of you know, of course, that every institution and every individual brings certain things to bear that he or she can contribute to the culture and the society in which they live. And social capital is nothing more than the aggregate of all of our individual contributions that we can make as productive members of our society. So the value proposition for an institution or a business, a company of any kind, has to somehow be a statement embodied in the mission that gives the kind and degree of involvement of the capital, the social capital that we can offer. And for those of us in the field of education, that means obviously that it's the intellectual capital that we bring that is of primary importance. Primary, but not exclusive. The proposition has to be appealing. It has to be available to people. It has to be accessible and advantageous in order to be accepted. And when that occurs, prosperity can come for those who create and confer the value and those who receive a profit from it. And of course, this is the essential process that we all go through as we try to put together a curriculum, as we try to create a faculty, as we gather a student body, recruiting them,